Oh, hey.
Hey.
How are you? You scared me.
You scared me.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. How are you? This is Pastor Will and
Jimmy.
with the world famous Will and
Jimmy Show.
And we're right here in beautiful Studio Michelle
Yes, we are.
in downtown Kingsport,
Tennessee.
USA.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's us again, and you might notice, Jimmy, I set the Advent wreath over here,
Yeah.
just so the folks that are viewing might want to, maybe if you've never celebrated Advent, we have four candles, I should say, 4 candles, which represent the 4 weeks before Christmas, and there are 3 purple and 1 pink. Mm-hmm. And this one we celebrated a week and a half ago, which was hope. Mm-hmm. This one we celebrated this past weekend was peace. And the pink one is always joy. Mm-hmm. Wonder why they give joy the pink color.
I was going to ask you that, hoping that you knew.
And then the 4th one is always love. And we have a big candle in the center, which reminds us that it's Jesus Christ with us always, the light of the world. And we keep that light in the center. There we go.
There it is.
So that's how this works, folks. And by the way, Jimmy, I was just looking a few minutes ago that our live stream for this past Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, we've exceeded all of our records, haven't we?
We have, and still going.
As of a few minutes ago, and we're now at 2:15 on Tuesday afternoon. We have had 25,100 views of the Sunday worship at Shades of Grace.
Amazing.
That's by far, that exceeds it by 5,000.
Sure. Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah. We've slowed down there for a few weeks, and we've just come right back. And
wow.
That's great.
So we'll see how far it goes. If you haven't shared the Sunday afternoon service, go back on Facebook or YouTube and share that with your friends list. That's what keeps this thing going. And it was a beautiful service. The music was fantastic. I think the preaching was good. And everything was just great. It was a beautiful service.
Yes.
So, but we're in the season of Advent. And can you believe we're already over halfway till Christmas?
That's what we were just talking about before the show. Cannot believe. It seems like just yesterday we were preparing for hope. And
yeah. Go ahead, Jimmy. I'm going to shut up a few minutes and let you talk.
No, I just can't
I'm going to interrupt you.
That's okay. It's all right. At least I know what to expect, right? No, just how fast the time has gone, and but I'm ready for Christmas. I really am. We had that little bit of snow there, and here today on Tuesday it's very warm for this time of year, but it just kind of helps get you in the Christmas spirit. This past weekend, Kingsport had their downtown Christmas parade, and that was really nice and cold, very cold, but it helps get you in that.
It does.
Get ready for that. And
I lived for a number of years in Miami in South Florida, and Christmas was always when you look for white, you look for the white sand.
Right.
And they had a lot of things on the beach, and they had the boat parades on the Intercoastal Waterway, things like that, palm trees and white sand. That always made for Santa Claus.
There's that commercial on TV that has the palm tree with the lights on it.
I love the way they decorate anyway.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead and...
This is a big... Well, first off, I want to tell you, we've got a really big show tonight for you.
Yes, oh man, we do.
We not have one very special guest, but we have 2 very special guests who are going to be joining us and sharing with us later on in the show. So we'll be very excited about that.
You're going to
want to hear these. This is a big week here at Shades of Grace, too. We have a special event coming up, and we'll talk about that a little bit later with our special guest.
All right.
But be prepared to join us later this week in person here at Shades.
Well, let's go ahead and tell them now, because in case they get a phone call or something and they'll miss it a little bit later. Just go ahead and give the spoiler.
We are sharing Friday night at 7 o'clock. We will be sharing a Shades of Grace Christmas with Landon Bellamy and Dr. Joe Smitty.
Yeah.
And prior to the show, we are going to have a pizza party.
Pizzas.
Yeah, we're going to have pizzas.
Pizza. Who doesn't say pizza?
That's what is
that Papa
Little
John's?
Caesars?
Little Caesars.
Little Caesars. Yeah.
Pizza. Let me ask you. Let's do a little thing here. Who do you think we should get our pizzas from
a good question.
for Friday night? Who has the best pizza? Go ahead and let us know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
let us know
little
what you think.
contest here.
Because we've not placed that order
No,
yet.
we haven't placed the order yet, and we may wait and see what you say. But we'll have to get it closely related to the downtown area of Kingsport, because we want to serve them hot. We're going to actually open our doors, and we're going to have the pizzas here sharply at 5:30. And we're inviting all of our friends from downtown, if you live in the downtown area, but also our homeless friends, anybody that's struggling and needs something to do on Friday evening. Come and have some pizza with us. And we're going to have, I've heard that we're going to have hot chocolate, hot cocoa.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then I've also heard that we're going to have homemade Christmas cookies along with John Nagy's beautiful carrot cake and homemade cheesecake.
Oh, boy.
So that's going to be here all Friday night from 5:30 to 6:30. And then we're going to have that wonderful service, Shades of Grace Christmas. Is that going to be live streamed?
It is going to be live
Okay,
streamed
in real time.
Real time.
Okay.
Something we don't do very often. But Facebook and YouTube live. We'll start a few minutes before 7.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I enjoy the live stream.
Yes.
I enjoy doing that.
Well, it's going to have all the hiccups and warts and everything else with it. You know, it goes live. You get what you get. But we are going to have an officer here. Just we know it's at nighttime, and some people are a little bit hesitant about coming down in this part of town on Friday night. And when it's dark, you never know.
Heck, I'm hesitant to go anywhere on a Friday night when it's dark, let alone
Or
downtown.
even in the daylight.
That's true, yeah.
So anyway, we will have an officer here on Friday evening for your comfort. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So come make plans now. Join us. I mean, if you absolutely can't, or if you live far off, say I don't know, Canada.
Yeah,
maybe
that's right. Could be. Could
you
be.
can still join us live.
Or
We'd love to have
say
you in person.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we've
got several Pennsylvania viewers. Did you know that?
We do.
We've got, if you're in Pennsylvania and Canada, our northern friends, go ahead and type in and let us know. We know your name, some of you, but put the location of where you're viewing us from or where you live. I know we have folks from at least 20 or 25 states.
I would say that it would be safe to say half of our audience on the Will and Jimmy show that comment with us and interact with us are not from this region.
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah.
And we're glad to have you.
Yes,
we're
we
thankful
are.
to have you.
Yeah, we absolutely are. Well, how many viewers did we have last week on the Will and Jimmy show?
Oh, you had to ask me.
We were somewhere around 14 or 15.
Talk there for a second, and I'll look that up.
I'll talk while
Yep,
he looks.
I'm going to find that out.
But I would say we had 14 or 15,000 maybe.
Let's see.
But let me just reiterate, we have had 25,100 as of right now from this past Sunday afternoon's replay of the Saturday worship service.
I can even update you just a little bit
Okay.
there. Add 300 to that, so we're at 25,400.
Wow.
And the Will and Jimmy show last week was 19,100.
Oh my goodness. That broke a record too, didn't it?
19th, yes.
Wow.
Yes, 19,000.
That's amazing. And you know why that happens? You helped us.
That's right.
Every one of you. People say it's difficult for me to share my faith. It's hard to, to talk to folks about our faith sometimes. But
can be.
this is an easy way for you to get a little star in your crown. Right? Well, I say that figuratively speaking. But it's a good way for you to share your faith just by clicking on a button and saying, hey, why don't you give this a little bit of consideration and enjoy it?
Because you never know who's going to click on that.
Right.
It may not even be somebody that you know.
Right.
It may not
And
be.
most likely we won't know.
And it may not be tonight. It may be a few days
It could be
after.
years from now.
And somebody hears. How many times over the years have we had somebody call us or message us on Facebook and say, I watched the message from Sunday and it touched me and it's exactly what I needed to hear. Sometimes they even come in the door here. You know, we had that one lady once who watched our Sunday virtual service and came in on Monday and said, I'm ready to get clean.
Yeah,
you remember that?
That's right, yes.
You know, and she did.
And she did.
She successfully completed a program. She moved away.
Yeah.
But,
it works that way.
And you never, she probably saw that from being shared from someone that on Facebook. So that's how this happens.
Well, lots of times the way social media works, especially Facebook, I'll see something pop up that I don't even remember, and then I'll look at the date, and it may have been 7 years ago or 8 years ago, and somebody clicked on it as if it happened yesterday. And for that person, it was yesterday. It was real for them. It touched their life. So, it's kind of like the living word. The scriptures are always relevant to your situation. It's the same way with these things on Facebook, the spiritual stories that we share.
So like you say, a lot of people are not comfortable sharing your faith.
Right.
We're all in some situations where we're not comfortable, and that is a good way. Just like the little Jesus figure.
Right.
That's a great way to share your faith without really having to say much.
Right.
In those moments, I get tongue-tied a lot. You get kind of nervous, and you're afraid to say the wrong thing, or So that's a good way to do that. Is just to share these services, give out those little Jesus figures.
Do we have any more little Jesus?
We do.
Did we get another shot?
I have more in the back.
We need more Jesus, and we always need more Jesus.
But let's see, we're about at 4,000 of the little Jesus figures that have been given out here over, I guess, we're probably going on 3 months now.
And right now we're working on 1,000 of the books, right?
Yes.
Reflections from God's living room.
We just received a fresh shipment this week, and that was 1,000. 1,000. That's
1,000
amazing.
books.
You are a published author.
Well, that's right. And we're going to have another one.
We are, I promise.
Somebody told us it was going to be by Christmas, but he didn't say which Christmas.
Hey, that's good.
No, in all due respect, Jimmy we're all so busy here, and some of you know that.
Yeah.
And many of you who are not from here or haven't followed us very long, this is the most unusual ministry that I've ever even imagined or been a part of. Can't you say that?
It is. Yeah.
There's just got to be not another place quite like Shades of Grace, but it's a very, very busy place, always. And it's so difficult just trying to sit down long enough to even do some editing and all of that kind of stuff.
Well,
we'll get it done.
We were making progress slowly but surely, and then we had a project kind of pop up that we didn't expect,
right.
And that has really taken up our time.
Is that what you're calling a project?
That's it. Well, I'm gonna call it a project.
How about a train wreck?
Yeah. And we've had to deal with that, and it's very important that we took care of that.
Yes.
But somebody was here today volunteering. Who attends our church, and they've been volunteering here for a while now, but he still said to me, I'm still just now seeing really how much goes on here. And he was just talking about that 2-hour time frame between 10 a.m. and 12 when we're serving the meals, of how many things are going on at one time.
All the time.
It's constant.
And that's why it's so important that we all try to stay in our lane. We've all got, I remember, 35 years ago or so, when I lived in Miami, and I remember, when the highways were expanding and the expressways, and you might have 5 and 6 lanes going in both directions, which end up being a 12-lane highway, 6 that way and 6 this way. And I don't know, it was kind of amazing to weave in and out and go in your passing lane, but as long as everybody stays in the lane, gives the right signals, it's going to work out okay. But we're working very well, and it's smooth. Everything's going smoothly.
Everybody knows their part and does their part, and there's a lot of parts to make this puzzle complete.
A lot of working parts.
And the thing is, we can somewhat prepare for each day. But in another way, we can't, because we don't know what that day is going to bring.
We never know.
We don't know what situations are going to come through, be someone at the front door, someone on the phone. what those needs are. Every day is so different.
Yeah.
We just have to really be ready for
We have to be prepared for whatever. I mean, be prepared for the blessings and the curses because they both come our way.
Yes.
You
yes. And, we've had a lot of cold weather here recently, so that has increased the needs for the extremity wear, the coats, the jackets, and most of you who are watching us tonight have probably seen our posts from earlier this week on Facebook about the donations and how that happened. And we had some very, very, very gracious folks. We've got to talk with them and meet with them a little bit here since this happened, who donated some items that they'd been taking up, some brand new items. And it was, they worked long hours through the week, and this was an after hours weekend kind of thing, and they thought, well, we've got all these donations in our truck, let's go ahead and take them to Shades of Grace and just donate them now. They knew we had the coat rack out, and they dropped those off, and then within 20 minutes our camera picked up somebody in a very nice truck pulling up and just swiping everything.
Loaded it all up.
And
we talked about this a little bit in the last week or two about what can happen with the coat rack. But you saw firsthand, because I think we've had 6,000 or 7,000 shares, or views. Not shares, but views on that particular video. And we did that not to really have anybody arrested or to get anybody in trouble, because we could easily have done that if we wanted to.
Right.
But as a church, we're not going to do that. But it's an awareness factor that to help those who want to donate to Shades of Grace, to try to remember that after hours, things can go south.
Right.
And they do, more often than not.
And the lady that we spoke with that gave the donations, her and her husband, she said to me, I never would have thought that would have happened.
Right.
And it's another, and I told her, I said, and you wouldn't, unless you're
wouldn't.
here like we are and you see this thing happen.
Right.
You wouldn't even think of that. So we appreciate their donation, and they felt really bad because that was not the intent.
Right.
So if you're going to donate and your intent is for those items to go specifically to someone who is in need, that is not the way to do that.
Because they'll wind up in a flea market or somewhere.
Or just in a garbage can or strung out down the street, and they get wet and dirty, and no one receives the blessing that you're wanting to get.
And you'll still get the blessing for giving it, but it's still, just try to realize that our hours are posted on the screen on both entrances to the front door, and it's a rotating message. But just try to, if you can, be mindful that things may not turn out the way you want them to if you don't bring them in during hours that we're here.
And that video was just a perfect example. Kind of debated on whether to put it out there or not.
Well, I'm still glad we did.
But it did come. The point that we were trying to get across came through exactly like we wanted.
And we may
it
take
to.
that post down today.
Yeah,
I think it's time to take it down.
Yeah,
but
everybody,
it's met its goal.
The person, we know who the person is, and it's and I hope that they know that we know and don't do it again, and you learn a lesson from it. I hope so, but but we are still giving out lots of coats. Our coat rack fills and empties, several times a day.
Yes.
It does. We'll look out and it'll be completely empty, and we'll get busy for a few minutes, and we'll come back and look again, and it's full.
Well, I just got you heard my little cricket here, right?
Yes, I did.
And this, Terry is working the front door and the phones for us while you and I are doing this. And he has a picture of a real nice collection, and it says blessing bags from First Baptist Church of Fall Branch.
Hey, all right.
So First Baptist Church of Fall Branch, Tennessee. Thank you all. This is your public notice. We'll try to post something on our Facebook page. But sometimes we get so busy with other things we will forget. But
it happens.
Thank you, First Baptist from Fall Branch. This is truly the most ecumenically minded ministry that I have ever been a part of or even thought about.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we've got every conceivable denomination and non-denominations of congregations.
Everybody coming together for the same purpose is a great thing.
Well, I remember something that David Graves, he's now Bishop Graves, in the United Methodist Church, used to be our district superintendent. And when we were starting this ministry 10 years ago, I remember something he clearly said to me one day. He said, "We all are Shades of Grace." Kind of like goes along with, it takes a community, but we all are Shades of Grace because we deal with the last, least, lost, and lonely, the down and out people, depressed, addicted, homeless, you name it. People that have just kind of fallen through the proverbial cracks of society and maybe landed hard. And so you've had those people in your life or in your congregation. And that's why I say every church congregation, whether it's small or large, has people that have fallen through those cracks. So in that way, we all are Shades of Grace. And I take it a step further and say, we all are the body of Christ. And this is just an image. It's just an image of what the body of Christ, the church and the world is doing. We couldn't do it ourselves.
No.
Even if all the money came into our hands, we wouldn't have the manpower we wouldn't have the perseverance and the strength to do everything that's done here. It takes lots of volunteers.
Lots of
volunteers.
Yes. And you know what else it takes? Lots of prayer.
Lots of prayers.
Lots of prayer.
Absolutely.
From all of you. We appreciate those.
You know, a lot of times people will stop by and say, well, what do you need? How can we help you? And the one thing I always try to put at the top of the list is always pray for us.
Very important.
Because with
Very
prayer, all
needed.
things are possible.
Yes. And a lot of the people, that come here, that's what they need. That's
Right.
where we get so many
Exactly.
calls from people that we don't know. We get phone calls from people way outside of this area who have maybe found us on Google or Facebook or whatever, and they call with a specific prayer need.
Wow.
Several
Amazing.
people do that.
Yeah.
And we always take the time.
We do. Absolutely. Yes.
I've found that, if somebody comes in and asks you for prayer, they're not talking about later this evening or tomorrow morning. We're talking about
Well,
right
Pastor
now.
Rick Begley, and I was his pastor for 10 years before he went into the ministry. He's the pastor now and also the director of Fort Blackmore Methodist Camp. And I remember when I first came to pastor there 25 years ago in this area, and he was a layperson in the congregation, and he was speaking in a service one day, maybe making a prayer request, and he said almost exactly what you said, and I remember this until today. He said, when someone asks you for prayer, they don't mean tomorrow, because they need it right now.
Yeah.
So sometimes people will send me a text message or a Facebook message and say, can you pray or remember me? And if I can, I'll just stop right there in a text at least and say, Lord, be merciful. Lord, hear our prayer.
Yes.
I mean, in some way, acknowledge to God that we do believe and we've heard the prayer.
Because, in a lot of those situations, it's probably not easy for that person to come in and
Right.
ask for prayer. They've really had to humble themselves. Maybe they're embarrassed, scared, all of the above. Maybe they've
Right.
had bad experiences coming into other churches in the past. We hear church hurt a lot,
I have thought about that. There are people who come in here sometimes with very difficult prayer requests or testimonies, things that they need to get off their heart and talk to us, and they will admit, we're a member of a congregation, but we just didn't feel we could go there. The people know me too well, that kind of thing. But one thing we always try to emphasize here at Shades of Grace, and I hope Jimmy can back this up with an affirmation, that don't we always try to say that transparency, let's come here and admit we're all sinners.
Yes.
We all have problems. None of us has got it totally together, and every one of us is wearing a mask of some kind. Right?
All of us, everyone.
And so we just got to kind of lay those things down and be real and know that God already knows, and we don't need someone else judging us. We've already judged ourselves, but we need not judge another.
That's right.
So
We've even had, thinking of one situation before, had someone come in who really needed to kind of just clear the air and get things off their chest, but they were so embarrassed of what they needed to get off their chest, they asked to write it down instead of speak it. You remember
And that's
that?
happened quite a few times.
And, and wrote, sit down. I gave this person a notebook, 3 or 4 pages,
Yes.
and then handed it to me
And
and
then
walked
left the
off.
building.
And you know, we didn't see that after that letter. We didn't see
Right.
that person for a few weeks, and then
Right.
once they came back, they asked me, "Well, are you still going to talk to me?"
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
told you that, you know.
Well-
and what this person doesn't realize is we're in our needs and feelings and our burdens may not be specifically the same thing that he wrote down, but I could write a couple pages.
Sure, absolutely.
Couldn't you?
And I bet you could too. And like I've often said, and I think Sylvia sent me a Facebook meme just a couple of days ago that says we're not all in the same boat, but we're in the same storms.
Yeah,
And that's
Yes.
so true.
that is true.
It is true.
So what? Let's see. Well, we're getting close to our special
Okay.
guest time.
Well, let's see.
I didn't put together. We were so busy today. I didn't have any questions, but
Right.
I heard a couple little funny Christmas
Okay.
jokes.
All right.
You know, I shared some jokes a few weeks ago. I don't remember what that was for, but I got a couple little corny,
Okay.
very corny,
Let's
very
hear it.
very corny Christmas jokes.
All right.
Okay. Well, we're talking about Advent. Here we are going into the third week of Advent.
And by the
so-
way, Advent means the coming. It's from an old Latin word. It talks about the coming, which is referring to the coming of Jesus. Okay.
So I know you've seen the little Advent calendars where you peel a day,
Yeah.
you've got a chocolate, and what happened to the man who stole the Advent calendar? He 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 got 25 days.
Oh, I was going to say he got lots of dates.
He got 25 days. He got 25
Okay.
days.
Got 25 days.
Okay. What does the gingerbread man cover up with at night? A cookie sheet.
Oh, I was thinking of all that icing.
And why is Santa afraid of getting stuck in the chimney?
Let's see. Let me think about that one. How about somebody out there is
Why?
bound to know this answer?
Why is Santa afraid of getting stuck in the chimney? He is claustrophobic.
Okay.
We'll save the best one for last.
All right.
This is the best. What do you call the elf on the shelf who just won the lottery?
Okay, now hold on. Let's figure that one out.
Okay.
Okay. You know the shelf on the elf. Okay, is for example. Okay, to give you an example, it's a play on the words. You know what a female sheep is called is a ewe, right? A ewe.
Yeah.
And so they have a picture of the female sheep standing on a church pew.
Okay.
So the elf on the shelf or a ewe in the pew, and there's lots of words you can use for that. So it's, what would you call that? Some of you teachers help me out. Is that a, well, I don't,
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know
not
what
sure.
that would be. I know what you're trying
It's
to
been
say.
too many years since I've been in English class. I used, to be honest, Jimmy, my best subject in school was English composition.
Was it really? Well, I
was.
can see that.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
it's been a day or
Yeah.
two since I've been in class.
Okay.
But, okay, read that one more time.
All right. So, what do you call an elf on a shelf who just won the lottery?
A lucky, would it be a lucky something?
Wealthy.
A wealthy shelfie?
Wealthy.
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 Wealth.
Wealth.
Elf.
Oh,
Wealthy.
a wealthy elfie.
Wealthy.
Oh, okay. That one I didn't like quite as good.
That was my favorite one. So
Okay.
let me say to you, what do you call an elf on the shelf who just won the lottery? Wealthy.
Wealthy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Got you.
Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on that one.
Boo! Down on that one. Down on that one.
All right. What else we got? We got anything else to go over? I think.
Let's see. We've got. You want to mention anything about the worship service coming up Saturday?
What do we have going? Do we have?
I don't
anything?
know.
I don't know. I don't have any special. It's going to be great. I know that.
At this point, we kind of just lose control of everything, and whatever will be, will be. Que sera, sera.
You think we'll have a choir this week, or are we still going to be precautious?
We have been a little bit cautious the last 2 weekends about a choir because COVID has been raising its ugly head again. And that's all because everybody got together and ate too much turkey.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But we've been trying to be careful. I know Miss D ended up with COVID, actually even a couple of days before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
and didn't get to have Thanksgiving with our family. But we've just kind of been careful. We still have the holidays to come, and we don't want anybody to get sick now and be sick for Christmas. So I think we'll kind of pass on that.
Okay.
And I think Landon and we need to remember David in prayer. He sang a beautiful song this past Saturday morning and then ended up at the hospital just within a few hours. But he's doing better.
Yes,
and thank you for all your prayers for him.
And he thanks you
Yes.
for all those prayers. He's kept in communication with us. We're
Right.
glad he's feeling better.
Yes.
Yeah, very
So whatever
glad.
the music will be, and remember Oscar, he had a pacemaker implanted, and he's not going to be able to be with us for a few more weeks. But pray for Oscar always. Pray for Landon. Remember Miss D, Quinn, Jeff. Who am I leaving out? Who else sings?
You had to put me on the spot,
Well,
didn't you?
that's all right.
I think that you back covered them all.
Well, maybe
Just
we
about.
did. Anyway, you know who you are. If you want to sing, talk to Landon. Our choir, our music is always open. You don't have to be trained in music. You just need to have joy in your heart and a love for the Lord. So
Correct.
Talk to Landon. He'll give you an opportunity to share your gift of music. Okay.
That's right. All right. Are you ready?
We're ready for our guests. Listen, we
Our
have
special-
two guests.
We got two special guests.
So we've got
tonight.
number one coming up, and then you're going to have a second one. So get ready for a little more enthusiasm and some more information, okay?
You're going to like it.
Okay, Jimmy,
All right.
good night.
Good night. Stay tuned.
Hold on, don't go anywhere. Turn loose, hold on, do something. Okay, friends, we're back. We told you that we have another special guest tonight. And all of you know Landon, so he's here tonight for the world famous Will and
Jimmy Show.
Okay, except for this moment, it's
Landon.
the Will and Landon show. Okay, Landon, the reason I've asked you to come on here just for a couple of minutes is one of our virtual friends who views this ministry requested on Sunday afternoon that you come on for the Will and Jimmy show this week just to give an idea of the folks what's going to happen on Friday night. They're really interested in the Shades of Grace Christmas. And I don't know a whole lot about it other than bits and pieces, and maybe you know more. Can you tell us what's going to happen?
I talked to Dr. Smitty last week, and he's written, I guess, it's not really a play, I don't guess. It's more like a...
More like a monologue?
Yeah, and he's got different songs that he's incorporated into it. What I saw of it, and he told me about it, sounds fantastic. So I can't wait to see it myself.
And I believe what he's doing is doing different characters based on friends that we know from Shades of Grace.
Yeah.
And then the response to the monologue, I believe, is going to be like people
Songs,
singing
yep.
different songs. So, and that's where I guess he's looking to you to probably maybe do the music and kind of lead us off in that.
I think he's doing his program, and then we're going to join together at on the last song, and then I'm going to sing.
Okay. So how many minutes are you going to have roughly?
Probably 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
He said his would probably be 20 or 30 minutes. We thought we would make it last about an hour.
And actually, our timing on here, the way it's uploaded, and when we edit it, we have, I think, 1 hour and 12 minutes, I think is the max. So we have to try to crowd everything into that space. Or otherwise, we have to start a whole new stream and then a whole different program. So anyway, so what's your favorite, what's your most requested song this year for Christmas?
Mary Did You Know is my
Mary Did You Know.
Yeah.
That's what everybody asked for.
Yep.
Okay. And those of you who requested this, Kim, others, this is going to be on Wednesday night. And of course, we'll be doing this program in 2 more nights on Friday night. So if you will type in right now and let Landon know what you would like him to do, I won't promise you that he'll do it, but you'll consider it, right?
Yeah, I will.
So I know...
because I have no idea what I'm going to sing right now.
Okay, he doesn't know, so you can help him right now. Just type in, and I would say, what do you need? Maybe 5 or 6 choices?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
So, and he'll pick through those. We may have to do it lottery style if we get too many. But type down on there what you would like to hear Landon sing during the Friday night Shades of Grace Christmas. And tell us one more time about the song you did a couple of years ago that went viral. The last time I checked, you had to have over 500,000 views.
Yeah. What a First Christmas. I recorded that on my Christmas recording. I guess that would have been not last year, but the year before.
Okay.
And I just did a quick little video after Shades here one day and posted it online, and
It went wild.
it did. I didn't even pay attention to it. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't even my favorite song on the recording. I just chose it because I had the track handy, and it was just easy. I was like, I'll do this real quick and post it for a Christmas video, and it really took off. I was shocked.
Okay. So, go ahead, and one more thing. Do you have any Christmas CDs?
I do, yes.
Okay. And check out here at Shades of Grace. Call Jimmy, the church office, or if you're here at Shades, he has some here in the building. And are they 15?
Yes, I have 2 Christmas recordings, but instead of having them duplicated on 2 separate discs, I just had them all put on one. So
Okay.
you get both Christmas albums for
Okay.
15.
All right. So try to help Landon out a little bit. He does a lot of ministry, and we appreciate him. And by the way, we also have Pastor Michael Vaughn, as your co-guest for tonight.
Oh, awesome.
And he's going to be on, or maybe has already been on, as one of our guests. But you're going to be singing there for them
Yep.
on the last Sunday morning in December on the 29th.
Yep.
And they're really excited about
I'm
that.
excited to be there.
So,
I was
okay.
supposed to have been there a month or so ago when all the flooding
All
happened,
the floods
yeah.
came and the
They didn't have
electricity was
electricity
out.
and
That's
stuff.
right. Okay. Well, Landon, thank you for being with us for these
Thank
few
you for
minutes on
having
the
me.
Will and Jimmy Show.
I'm excited for Friday.
All right,
Everybody
we're looking
plan
forward.
to join us.
Yeah, we're going to have open the doors 5:30. We're going to have pizzas, and then we're going to have I think Lloyd and Becky are going to have some hot chocolate. John has made Christmas cookies with cheesecake and
Here for the
carrot
cheesecake.
cake, and I know what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we'll just have a good time from 5:30 till 6:30. Then maybe have you play some music, and then we'll have the service start at 7.
Even if you don't want to come for my singing, it's worth coming for the cheesecake. Trust me.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, everybody have a good evening, and we'll plan to see you either in-house or here on Friday evening. And if you can't be here Friday evening, watch us on live stream, and then be here on Saturday morning for worship, okay?
So will it actually be live, or is it going to be
I believe he's going to do it live. I'm not
Awesome.
sure. We'll have to
Okay.
ask Jimmy about
Okay.
that. But anyway, it will be available online at some point. So have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
See you Friday.
All right. Okay, friends, we are now with our special guest, which we just told you about. And I would like to introduce to you Annette Spence. And Annette, tell the folks just a little bit about why you're here today and who you represent.
Okay. Well, I represent Holston Conference of the United Methodist Church.
Okay.
I've been an editor there, a writer, a communicator for 25 years.
25 years.
Written a lot of stories about a lot of great United Methodist ministries. This is one of them. And in the 10th year of Shades of Grace ministry, it was real obvious that we needed to have a story that celebrates your 10 years of amazing accomplishments.
All right. And I might say you're always the person behind the scenes, writing stories, taking pictures. So this is a little bit different for you to be up front in the camera, right?
Yeah, I really don't like it at all. I've spent my entire life trying to hide behind cameras and laptops and notepads.
And you
so-
know, almost every guest that we have on the Will and Jimmy Show feels the exact same way.
Yeah,
So you're in good company.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
I used to be there myself. I mean, I used to I can't do this.
Yeah.
But after 10 years and, you know, we video everything in the service, I don't even think about the cameras being on.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, you and I go back quite a few years. I think especially we became more closely connected when your father passed away 9 years ago. Or
I'd have to.
10 years,
it was
almost 10
20.
years?
Yeah, it was 9 years ago,
9 years
2015. Now I do actually. You and I did stories on you before.
You did all the way back to Hilton's, I
I
believe.
believe you're an evangelism award
Yeah,
winner.
well, yeah, that's
and,
true.
And so that
Yeah.
may have been the first time that I met you.
Okay.
And I've followed you at a lot of churches where you did great things. So
Right.
this is not that big of a surprise for me of what what you've accomplished here. But yes, we got even closer. My father
Yes.
went through a rough time, and you visited him
I did.
in the hospital, and I think he felt a connection to you. So when the time came, he did not have a worship community or a church at the time, and his office was just down the road for many decades.
For the people that are longtime Kingsport residents, who was your dad and was his profession?
My dad's name was Newt Spence, and he was a life insurance salesman,
Okay.
and spent a lot of time in downtown Kingsport.
Did he have an office downtown?
He did, right down the road where. Do you know where the former Wendy's is? I think it's a Chinese place.
Yeah, it's a Chinese place.
Behind that is
Okay.
what used to be called the Culligan Water Building.
Okay.
And that was one place where he had an office. As a little kid, there was a Wendy's next to it. And
Okay.
he would take us to eat there. And he also had an office for a while downtown. So
Okay.
this was his.
This 5 Points, this is known as historic 5
Okay,
Points.
yeah.
Right here. So he was well known.
He
And-
was well known, and he also ended his life was he ended in some hard places, and he probably would have identified with some of the people
Wow.
that you all are in ministry with here. So
Well, I believe you called me one day out of the blue and told me that your dad was maybe, I'm not sure if it was in the hospital at the time or in the long-term residential health care, one of the
Yeah.
two. And you said, do you care to go visit him?
Yeah.
And I went that same day,
I know you
and I made
did.
a friend. And I visited him a number of times after that.
He knew who you were.
Yeah.
So when the time came for us to decide, my brothers and I gathered here in Kingsport for him when he passed away. He died at age 75 in September 2015, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, it became obvious that, and we asked you, we didn't assume that Shades of Grace would be a great place to have his service. And you guys went all out, and that you all had food and a musician. It was just a beautiful, he would have been really happy about that.
Well, and I don't believe we had even started the tradition of doing funerals. We may have had one or two in the building up to that time, but that kind of really kicked off that ministry, if you want to put it that way, because as of right now, I was telling Annette in a story that she's getting ready to do, that we have had 129 funeral services in our building at Shades of Grace. And your dad was one of the very first ones, so he kind of led it off.
He led it all.
Yeah.
And that makes us, my whole family is very proud of that moment. And I must also say that he was a United Methodist. His membership was probably still at Wheeler United Methodist Church, which was just about a half hour from
Right.
here or so. So he would be very, very proud of what you all are doing here.
Well, good. Well, and like you said, there have been a lot of changes in the past 9 years since you came here first.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years, really.
Yeah.
What are some of the major changes you've seen from your perspective of Shades of Grace?
Well, what I see is it just expands. It was obviously it's actually shocking to me that was the first year that when you all had the funeral, it seemed like you all were really up and coming and doing amazing things, because you'd already gotten my attention and
Yeah.
a lot of the people in Holston Conference and around the community, and
We just hadn't gotten into the funeral business yet.
well, I guess you had, but
Yeah.
you were feeding people, looking after
Sure.
people. You
Yes.
had worship. Every time I come down here, you've expanded in some way that blows my mind. And I even tell people, I told people today, like, I'm always a little bit intimidated because there's so much happening here. And as a reporter, I'm always cataloging, like, how can I get this out there for people to see? And I'm almost like, I better have a lot of energy before I go down there because there's so much, with you have an international ministry
We
here.
do, yes.
You weren't making sure that people had showers there at that time. You weren't You didn't have 4 buildings.
Right, exactly.
You have drawn people here from people, you have people's attention all over the country.
Yeah.
But you have drawn people not just from our United Methodist churches, but from numerous churches and places and businesses and organizations, and it's become the kind of thing that all the meetings that I'm involved in the United Methodist Church, I hear people say all the time. It's like an iconic kind of thing. It's like, we need to have a place like Shades of Grace. Wow. And everybody,
well, that's an humbling experience.
They know this place.
Yeah.
People know this place, and not just in our immediate community.
Well, actually, most of you, probably any of you viewing this now, you've never been in this room. You're kind of in a special place there.
Yeah.
Next door, we usually record late in the afternoon for the Will and Jimmy show. But Annette came early this morning, and we're always really busy over there. And it's a large building, the noise and there's just a lot of activity to distract. And I wanted this to be really a time of being able to concentrate and listen. But this building right here, actually, the room that we're in is actually a counseling room right now. Mm-hmm. And a lady named Gloria, who moved here from Wyoming with her husband a year ago, does counseling here for folks for free. She's a certified counselor. And so she decorated most of this room. But if we go this way, then we have showers in this downstairs building for women during the week. We have some washing machines back there, and we have storage. And we also have another room that will make a perfect, what I call prophet's chamber. You ever read about the prophet's chamber in the Bible?
No.
That's what I've always heard it called, where maybe when the widow met the prophet Elijah and he stayed in her home with her son and all that, there was a place in the ancient world where a lot of the people have what they call a prophet's chamber. It was a bedroom, just a separate room where the prophet could sleep, because they were always just like a United Methodist kind of itinerant.
Yeah,
you never knew when where they're going to be, what they're going to be doing.
Kind of host
So
them.
yeah, like a hostel or a hotel.
Yeah.
Just they would host the people. So we have a room like that back here. It needs to be completely gutted, but it can make a perfect prophet's chamber. It could be decorated. It could be like one of the nicest bedrooms. It'd be like a hotel room. And we have that in this building. That's going to be on our project for next year.
Wow. And like I said, every time I come here, there's just something that kind of blows my mind on. And of course, this morning I sat and took some pictures and observed the people coming, to the doorway to get not just food, but there are people there handing them Christmas cupcakes. And some people ask, you have a place here where, for those who don't have a home address or a permanent place to live or a place to lay their heads at night, they can come and get their mail here. So I heard a lot of people say, I want to do a mail check. Yeah. There were people who came in and said, I need socks. Right. I need a shower. Right. I brought my stepfather today. My mom also just passed away. Yes. So I brought my stepfather today because my whole family now feels connected to this ministry, because it all started with my father's funeral. And my stepfather doesn't feel comfortable in a lot of places, but when he heard I was coming to talk to Will Shuey, he wanted to get in the car and come over here, and he's just been sitting
And he's a gracious gentleman, a true gentleman. And the first thing he said when he came in, thank you for the Christmas card. Yeah. And that touched me. We try to stay in touch with our friends, even though, it's difficult, but every person who ever comes here touches our life in some way. We don't like people to get away without somehow connecting.
Yeah, he feels connected to this. And also, Pastor Will has a morning, like, how many years have you been doing this?
Well, I've done it for 10 years here at Shades of Grace. But as Steve and I, our lay leader, were talking last week, I started this actually in the Hilton's church, probably, and I've been here 10 years. I was at another church 5 years. We did it there. And I did it probably 8 years or 9 years. So I've been doing it at least 20 years here in the Tri-Cities. And we've kept a few of the ones from years ago.
Yeah.
Who wanted to stay on. But remarkably, a lot of people, especially folks who live alone,
Yeah.
tell me that's the only time my phone rings in a day.
Well, and I don't know if we described it, what he does is he sends out a prayer every morning by telephone, and even if they don't answer the phone immediately, of course, the prayer goes into their voicemail. So the last time my stepfather and I visited here, knowing how lonely he is, because his wife of my mom of 38 years just passed away, I've been there when that phone rings and my stepfather will pause everything. Thanksgiving Day,
Okay.
my stepfather pauses and listens to the phone,
Okay.
and he feels this connection to this beautiful, warm place and to Pastor Will in the midst of his loneliness, which of course this is what this ministry is all about.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful story. Thank you. That's what we try to do. Those of you who view the Will and Jimmy show and all of our worship services, as far as that goes, we're just very grateful to all of you. Annette, is there anything else you'd like to say today about your ministry, what you do, how we can look for you? Let me mention this. Didn't you get some kind of a special award or acknowledgement about one of the stories for Shades of Grace? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, and as we've already said, I've been here several times. Now I feel like part of the family here, but to do stories. And there was one story that we did 2 or 3 years ago. Every Pastor Will and the folks here at Shades of Grace, they literally love people to the grave. And
that's kind of how you did the story, loving them to the grave.
They love them. There are a lot. They deal with a lot of folks who are not only without housing, but who are addicted, and they don't always make it. But even when they pass away and there's nobody there to claim them, Pastor Will, they hold funerals, and he may have mentioned this constantly in this building, but also there is a joint burial process for every October near All Saints Day.
Yes.
They partner with a Lutheran church, and
that's the oldest Lutheran church in the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
That's history.
And they've had a plot of land donated.
Right.
So I did a story once where I literally came here, follow them to there, and watch the ashes of people who have passed away and who that Shades of Grace saw that they were cremated and taken care of and brought to a place where their name is listed and they will not be forgotten. And it was a beautiful October. It was actually kind of rainy, but it was the mountains around us with vibrant, red, yellow, lush, and people there to mourn these folks who will not be forgotten. So I did that story, and I'm part of a United Methodist communicators thing, and it won an award for the beautiful story that it was. So.
And we thank you so much for that.
You're
welcome. I know over the years you've been an ardent supporter of Shades of Grace, and I know you've thrown in a few good words for us along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them one more thing about what you experienced at annual conference when Shades of Grace choir sang. That was a touching moment for you.
That was
for all
a
of
touching
us.
moment. I've covered, in the United Methodist Church, we have a giant meeting that we call annual conference, and every, at the time we had 550 churches or so. We've had more in previous years. 25 years, every year in June, I have to go to annual conference and write lots and lots of articles, and of course I've followed this beautiful ministry for 10 years. Well, this past annual conference, your music minister and the leaders of Shades of Grace brought down about 50 people from this community, some from the street, some from, people who are supporters, who are part of this ministry, and they got on the annual conference stage and they sang. They sang some praise songs, and we have some very fancy choirs that come through, some great contemporary music, but these folks got up on the stage and they sang their heart out. And just and there was a bishop there who was involved at the time when, his name is Bishop David Graves, who was there when Will started this ministry. And so he is now a bishop and came from another state. And so I'm there as a professional, but as a professional writer, but just crying.
Your eyes started leaking, didn't they?
I was crying because it was just so beautiful to see all his folks from there on the stage. Some nervous, but once they start praising God and being there in front of hundreds of people, it was a real amazing thing to see after watching this place become what it is in 10 years. So
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad that you shared that. Well, anything else you want to say?
no, I'm just grateful for
Well,
you,
we
and
appreciate you.
yeah.
So you'll be looking for the article. We'll be sure and let you know when that comes out and how you can read that online and be a part of it. And you'll say you already got the preview of it right here on the world famous Will and
Jimmy.
Show. Yeah, okay, hey, yeah, you got it. You didn't say it with as much enthusiasm.
I had to think
as
about it for a minute.
Well, say it one more time. The Will and
Jimmy
Show. Yeah, hey, you got it. All right. All right, and thank you again so much for sharing with us in this, and we'll be seeing you in the virtual church
Absolutely.
in a few days or so.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
God bless you, everybody. Good night.